Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Parenting and You with me, Dr. Shefali. Oh my goodness, I remember before becoming a parent, what fantasies I had about the kind of child I would have and the kind of parent I would be. I had a laundry list of expectations, a laundry list of fantasies. And when those fantasies didn't come true, oh my goodness, I crashed and burned. Well, that's what this next episode is about. It's all about our expectations and how to manage when none of them come to light. Coming up next, a mother who is struggling to be the best single parent she can be for her 10-month-old son. Joining me now is Shama. Shama is struggling in her role as a single mother, and she's having a hard time forgiving herself for some choices she's made in her past. Hello, Shama. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Tell me what's going on.
Hi, Dr. Shefali. Thank you so much for having me. Just before I start, I'm part of your Luminous community. I am also working with a conscious coach. Thank you for everything that you do. And in regard to my circumstances, that is correct. I'm having a difficult time forgiving myself. I entered into a relationship with my soon to be ex husband about a decade ago, and we share a 10-month-old son, beautiful baby boy. And we both were in unhealthy places. And unfortunately, it didn't work out between us. I saw the writing on the wall when we met, but at the same time, I was not conscious at that time. And it's been difficult to forgive myself because I knew that I was bringing a life into this world with the current problems that we have. So without going into like details about what's going on between him and I really want to put the focus on myself and be able to forgive myself for bringing in a beautiful life into a little bit of a messy situation, and how to be the most conscious mother that I can be.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. It's so hard as parents when we feel we've made a bad choice and actually brought them into our chaos. And I can sense that you're feeling really heavy about the past and how you've made your choices and the relationship you have with this beautiful boy's father. Am I right in summarizing that pain?
Yes, you are, Dr. Shefali.
So now here you are. Your child is here. You are a mother. And it seems like your mind is not yet here. Your mind keeps churning around things that have happened in the past, and it's stopping you from being present right here, right now. It's weighing so heavily on your heart that you actually can't even be the best mother, because when you look at your boy, instead of connecting to him right now, in all the joy and abundance of this moment, your mind keeps spinning into, oh my goodness, I can't believe I did this. I can't believe I'm in this mess. You can't get over it. Does that also summarize your feelings?
Yes, it does. It really does. Along with the divorce, and all divorces are, you know, hard, of course. So it's with all of this going on that there's just a lot of chaos, right? And I want to be able to be present, like you said, and it's difficult.
It is very, very difficult. And I want every parent who's going through something like this to know that it is hard, but there is a way forward. And I'll try to break that down right now. So here's the thing, whether it's divorce or no divorce, it doesn't matter. Life is messy. Life is incredibly challenging. I don't know a single parent who doesn't struggle. Now, add in divorce, add in an ex who's more quote unquote difficult. You have a powder keg of a situation. But our reaction to life is what makes all the difference, right? I always talk about the second arrow. Life throws us the first arrow, but the second arrow is our reaction to life. So here we are. You made a choice. You have a son. You and the ex partner may not get along. That is your isness. It is your reality. Now, how you react to reality is all the game changer. That's the real linchpin. It's not the reality that's the problem. It's your reaction to your reality that's the problem. So let's break it down. You have a child, you and your ex do not get along, correct?
Correct.
Now you need to be the best mother. You're struggling with how to be the best mother in a very unusual but negative situation. How can you be positive even though the situation is negative? And that's where you're struggling. You don't know how to show up as your best self because the situation is so difficult.
Yeah, it is. It's very difficult, along with finances, being a single mother, living back at my parents', which I'm very blessed. I have amazing support, and I try to look at that, of course. But it's also difficult sometimes, seeing that I'm a 38-year-old single mother that lives with her parents and that I should have known better. But I know that should is a word that I should not be using.
Right, right.
Yeah, I'm just struggling with that because I just want my son to have more.
Correct. So you are stuck in resistance. You're resisting your present reality because you keep saying to yourself, it shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't be like this. He deserves different. He deserves parents who are more wealthy. He deserves parents who are happier. He deserves this. He deserves that. You're constantly resisting the isness, and actually your resistance to the isness is causing more problems because now he not only doesn't have the quote unquote fantasy, he also doesn't have a mother who's present. See, you don't truly understand the power that you have by being a joyful person. You're underestimating who you can be for him. You think that until and unless you have the perfect married life or the perfect financial situation or the perfect image on the outside of what makes a happy family, you on your own are not good enough. That is the core of this issue, my dear. It's not the divorce, it's not the ex, it's you don't believe that you are good enough. So you think he should have had more. I should be different. You as you are is not good enough for you.
Yes, yes, that's so true. And I'm admitting this out loud. I knew that things were not good when we were undergoing IVF. I just wanted to be a mother. So I knew the chances of me becoming a single mother were very high. So I can't victimize myself, but I do feel guilty and selfish.
Right, because you have imposed on yourself an idea that a single mother is not a good enough mother. So now you're feeling guilty because you wanted to be a mother. You likely were going to be a single mother, but now you're feeling guilty for everything you wanted because you've bought into a narrative that single mothers are not the best parents. It takes two. Now, this is a narrative. It is a choice you're making to buy into a narrative. It is not eternal truth. It is not the Holy Grail. Just because you're a single mother doesn't mean you're not good enough. And a two-parent home is not the Holy Grail of parenting. You've brought into the narrative that that is the Holy Grail. Being married, two parents, you've decided that that is the ultimate. That's the only standard. And unless it's that gold standard, you are not good enough. This is a trap so many parents fall into. And I'm here to tell you that it's not true. You, as a single mother, are the gold standard. You can be the gold standard. You can be what you choose to be. But if you feel you're not good enough, then you're not going to be good enough. Do you know how many successful adults have been raised by single mothers? Do you know how many successful people in the world had parents who were divorced or parents who were not happy together? Success and happiness doesn't come from what the parents are only. It comes from who the mother is primarily. So many studies have been done on the most important determiner of children's happiness and success. And a lot of them zero in on maternal happiness, maternal comfort, maternal security, maternal empowerment. The mother's state of mind and heart are the key factors in determining the child's future success and happiness. So you're the mother. It's up to you. Are you showing up?
I have a lot of power.
You have a lot of power, and that's what we mothers don't realize. We think we need to be in a successful, happy marriage. That would help, but that's not where our power comes from. Our power comes from our connection with our children, and you're not stepping into that power right now. You're giving your power away to your ex. You're giving your power away to this illusion of what makes a happy family.
That's so true. That's so true. And of course, and my parents are wonderful and they mean well, but they also sometimes say, we told you it wouldn't work out with him, or certain things where it's like, I told you so. So I'm also a child in the household with my parents, and I have a child that I'm raising. So it's a very interesting dynamic.
Yes, and it's here to show you that you need to step into your power. Your parents are still infantilizing you, telling you what you should have done and what you shouldn't. And then you are infantilizing yourself by saying, I should have listened to them. I should have listened to culture. I shouldn't have done that. Instead of the opposite, which is, you know what? I knew what I was getting into, but I wanted a child. And at that moment, that was the consciousness I had. Instead of celebrating your choice, you are now shaming your choice.
Yes. Yeah.
You are allowing your parents' voice to overtake your own internal adult self. You knew you wanted a child. You knew you were ready for a child. Why aren't you celebrating that choice? Because now you do have a child. It's here, but instead you are drowning in guilt and regret. You are blaming yourself instead of celebrating yourself. And so many of us do this. So many of us doubt ourselves and shame ourselves because we've internalized the shaming voice of our parents. And your parents are doing it right now, right in front of you. Instead of them empowering you and saying, you know what? It's okay that you made that choice. You knew that you wanted to have a child. You were getting older. You took the bull by its horns and you said, you know what? I'm going for it. You took a risk and I admire you for taking a risk. You see, instead of them shaming you, they could empower you, but you need to do that for yourself.
Yes, I have to do that for myself. And I have not been. So that way I can be that voice for my son, but I have to do it for myself first.
Yes, you're showing up and giving him the energy that, oh my goodness, this was a big mistake. Can you imagine the message he's going to absorb when mommy looks at him thinking it's a mistake?
No, I definitely never want him to think that.
So let me ask you,
Mhm.
was becoming a mother your greatest dream?
Yes,
Are you so joyful that you do have a child?
very joyful, beyond.
Okay, then those are the only two questions you need to focus on. Nothing else, because the child is here and the mother is here. So why are we wasting our time on any other fact other than you're a mother? The baby is here. Now let's create that most amazing connection.
I have to be here in the present and enjoy my son. The past, I mean, of course, I made mistakes with my ex. He made mistakes with me, and there was a lot of unconsciousness. But I really appreciate the way that you said that that's where my consciousness was at the time. So, regardless of the mistakes that either of us made, there's no reason to hold on to shame or guilt.
My goodness, I think you actually have created this dynamic in this moment to wake up to your power as a single mother. I think you actually chose the right ex because you actually needed to grow in this way. He was actually
Yeah,
perfect because you needed to learn how powerful you can be as a single mother. This is actually perfect. There's nothing wrong in this scenario except you regretting, you shaming yourself.
yeah.
There's nothing wrong in this scenario. You actually are giving your son so many people to take care of him. You're actually living in abundance. Actually, you're living with your parents. There's nothing wrong with that. Unless you look at it through lack. If you look at it through negativity, then you're going to find things wrong.
No, that's very true. That's so true. I actually feel blessed that I have my parents and I have a supportive family. So there is a village to really help me.
Yes, as long as you let go of the narrative that it should be another way, you're going to keep being stuck. If you can let go that there should be another way, you will set yourself free.
That makes sense. And even if my ex and his family have different ways of parenting, I know I can't control that in the future. It's not here yet because our son is just only 10 months old, but eventually, we both are Indian. They have different belief systems. I have different belief systems. And there's a way that I want my son to be raised where it's not traditional in the patriarchal sense, but I can't control what is being done in the other household. So I worry about that part.
But now you've gone to the future. See, you were in the past and now you're in the future. Now you're worried about what's going to happen tomorrow. None of us can control the future. None of us can control how the other person's parents act with our children. We can barely control our own parents and how they act with our children. So again, you've now gone into the future. Now you're finding something negative about the future. Again, you're missing the most important part of parenting, which is your capacity to connect with your children in the here and now. Every parent needs to hear this. It's not about our past. It's not about our future. It's about how am I showing up for my child in the present moment. If you can remember that the most important gift you can give your child is how you see him right here, right now, how you accept him right here, right now, how you connect right here, right now, you will be the most successful parent. If you allow your mind to go to the past or the future, you're going to lose the power to show up in the present.
I have to remember that each time I go into the past for any kind of shame or guilt, or in the future for any concerns that I have. It's not here. Right now, I have a beautiful baby boy that I need to and will enjoy.
Bingo, you got it. But you have to keep reminding yourself this is something every parent does wrong. We live in the past or we live in the future, and we don't live in the present moment. Thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your vulnerability.
It was so lovely speaking with you, and thank you so much.
So many of us parents struggle with how we think we should be doing our parenting. We get plagued by our expectations, by our fantasies. And then when our story doesn't play out, when life gets messy, when things get chaotic and we fall from our own standards of how things should be, we suffer. But you know what suffers the most? Our connection with our children. So I hope after listening to this, you, the parent out there, realize that what our children need from us the most is not a perfect parent, but just a connected one. Coming up next, a mother who's struggling with sleep deprivation and exhaustion as she is raising her 3-year-old son, who she says is keeping them both awake all night. Joining me now is Jo, a sleep-deprived mom who is struggling to be the best mom she can be for her 3-year-old, who she says is not eating enough at dinner and is waking up constantly in the middle of the night. Hi, Jo. I'm so happy you're here. Tell us what's going on.
Hi, Dr. Shefali. Thank you so much for having me here. We are, like a lot of your parents probably, trying to break the generational course of how we were raised. So we are trying to do conscious parenting, read your book. And we're in a point that we are so tired. Like, I still breastfeed my toddler and he doesn't sleep through the night. We are getting to a point that we are sleeping in separate bedrooms with my husband. So one of us can take care of him and the other one can sleep at least a couple of hours. We don't know if it's lack of food because we don't engage into threatening him to eat more at dinner, or we try to trust that he knows his body. But normally at the end of the day, he will ask for a snack when we are in bed. Oh, I'm hungry. I want a snack. So then it's going back for the snack. And yeah, he's not sleeping. I am so jealous when I see like these babies 2-week old and the moms are like, yeah, he sleeps 7 hours. And so that is what is going on with us.
Okay, I remember years and years of not sleeping, so I understand. It's hell, it's hell, it's hell. It's so difficult to survive in the daytime when you are so sleep deprived. So let me ask you, what is mom doing during the day? Like, are you working? Are you relatively free?
No, we both work. I work from home. My husband work corporate, and then I also work out. So My day looks like we woke up and then I get him ready for preschool. I take him to preschool. Then I come home, either go to the gym or start my work in my business. And then at the end of the day, around 3, 4, we pick him up again and then have our evening routine.
So what's happening at night? Are you getting angry? Are you losing it? What's your emotional state at night?
The only time that I lose it with him is not at night. It's actually when I am sick or I'm having my period that I'm have little tolerance. At night, I'm just in this resignation phase. Like in this just like hopelessness of like, okay, I mean, we try everything and it's not. And then we are being just adjusting the rest of our routines and life to support the sleep situation. Like I told you, my husband is a very light sleeper. So for months and months, we decided that my husband was sleeping in the guest room. I was sleeping in my room. Our baby was sleeping in his room. And then when he woke up, he will come to our bedroom. So we are being adjusting that. But no, it's maybe sometimes it's frustration and anger, but it's never been, at least not with the sleeping, it's never been like losing my mind. I lose my mind in other ways, but in that one is more just like resignation.
So what is your central question for me?
My central question for you is, how can we support him into what he needs without us changing all of that? Like, I want to sleep with my husband again. I want us to sleep in the same room. I don't know if it's just suck it up. You need to stay like this until Elliot is old enough and will be 7, 8, 10 years. But I didn't find any advice in doing it in a way that is a win-win-win situation. And I think that it should be a win-win-win situation. I don't think that he should be paying the price of us wanting to sleep, if that makes sense. And one of the biggest things with that is my husband and I had different rules and different perspective on things like this. And I don't know, in your opinion, your expertise, if that is wrong. And it's like, oh, we need to be in the same page all the time. We need to be aligned all the time, because if not, that will be confused. Or if it's okay to tell them, okay, you are with mommy now. And with mommy, these are some of the boundaries and the rules. And now you are with daddy. My husband and I don't fight about it, but we always are like, okay, are we doing this right? It's okay to do it separate. It's okay. It will be better if we compromise and get alignment and agreement on how we are going to approach it.
Okay, so just quickly off the bat, toddlers are meant to do exactly what your toddler is doing. They're fussy sometimes when they eat. They get up a lot. They can be restless. They don't sleep through the night. So your toddler is doing nothing wrong. Your reaction to them is what is causing anxiety, number one. Number two, to your next question, should we be aligned? When kids are young, it is very hard for them to understand different rules in the same place. It is confusing. Now, you can never always agree on everything, but you'll need to agree on who is going to be in charge of that rule. You cannot say, okay, when you eat with me, we eat like this, but when you eat with dad, you eat like that. That's going to be too confusing. What you could say is, eating is with mom, playing is with dad. Like, you can designate who does what, but within that area, it needs to be one person. Otherwise, the child cannot learn. Parents of young children need to realize that children need to learn the skill of falling asleep on their own, need to learn how to eat, how to have manners, how to be considerate, how to shower. So your child is still learning. But if the parents are anxious or stressed out or too controlling or too confusing, then you're actually sabotaging your child learning the fastest. So there is no win-win-win situation right now until he learns. So the win-win is that for you parents to realize that you can still have alone time, you can still have your intimacy, but you also will need to compromise in some way while he's learning. So I'm not saying that what you're doing right now is the best way. Maybe you need to teach your child to go into their bed, but then you stay by them in their bed and then keep going when they need you to their bed and leave. But that means you'll have to get up 15 times in the night till your child learns. So you all have decided, you know what? Just sleep with the kid in that bedroom, and now your intimacy is suffering. Listen, something is going to suffer till your child learns independent sleep. There are ways to do it, and I will suggest you go to a sleep specialist who's more conscious, and I can recommend someone for you, because that's not the point right now. The point is your expectation that things should be a different way. And we need to release that expectation that things are actually exactly how they are meant to be right now. When we accept that we're going to be in a phase of no sleep or a phase of teaching our child how to be independent, then we will be more willing to make that compromise. But if we expect that he sleeps independently and I have intimacy and I go to the gym and I'm a successful business person and we eat dinner together, look how many things you've put on your table. You've put too many things on your table, and you're a super parent and a super mom, but I can guarantee you that you're doing way too much and you are stressing out. So by nighttime, you're exhausted. Your fuse is short. Your husband and you are, silently disagreeing. So you're not reaching an acceptance of your life situation. Where do you think you're resisting the most, do you think?
I think it's a spot on the control, because as a type A perfectionist is about like plans, and this is the plan. If we follow the plan, you should be sleeping. But then my question there is, how do you release that expectation? Like, because I know that that's the journey, but how we can do that and do our work and release the expectation and say like, okay, not in a hopeless way like we were doing it, like it is what it is, but in a conscious way of, this is the phase that we are.
Beautiful. Let me try to help you. If your toddler could talk about his expectations, he would say this: Hello, parents. I don't have a brain fully developed. I need you to help me learn. It's going to take a long time, and practice. I need you to be patient. I need you to understand that you chose to have me. I didn't beg you to have me. You decided to have me. And now you want to have a business and you want to do this and you want to do that. Well, I'm sorry. I'm just a very, very young person, and you're not understanding that just because I can't speak, you think you're the only one who should have expectations. I have expectations of you. you know, this is the problem. We think that we should have expectations of our child, but we're not realizing they have expectations of us too, but they just can't articulate them. And being a type A, overachieving mother like you are, you're going to suffer, because having a toddler is against any idea of organization, plans, predictability. Toddlerhood is a shit show. It's a constant confusion, chaos, upheaval, havoc. And you're trying to control a toddler. Guess who's going to lose? You are. You're going to lose, because the toddler is going to just be a toddler. A toddler, by definition, is insanity in a little body. Okay. And you're trying to make this little body into an orderly puppet. It will not work. And this is where so many parents clash with their young children, is because we have all these expectations and we're not realizing that what our children need is not perfection. Our children don't need organization or a clean house. What they need is a relaxed parent who shows up in the present moment and understands that they are still young and learning. You all have very high expectations. And you know why you have such high expectations? Because you have high expectations of yourself. So you're projecting those high expectations of yourself that you have on you onto your child, but your child is not ready for high expectations right now. I see that you've just frozen. So tell me what's going through your mind.
I don't know, it's spot on. I'm gonna put all that you said about the expectations of Elliot in a place that I can read them every day and reminder, because when you put it like that, it sounds very silly. So yeah, thank you.
But it's not silly, because all of us have done this. We've created a narrative of how things should be. So let's, for a moment, since you are so honest, if you can be honest about what was your image, what was your fantasy about how things would be, and then we're going to talk about how things really are. So tell us about your fantasy list of how you thought life would be with a toddler.
It probably will be that we have dinner together because we love him unconditionally and we don't have a lot of sugar at home. Then he doesn't struggle as much with his emotions and his responses. And then that we do our sleep routine and we take bath and then we read books before night. And then he goes to bed with one of us and sleep through the night.
And then you and your husband have passionate sex and it's a happy family, right? And then what is the reality?
The reality is that as more he grows, as more he struggles on sharing his emotions and fighting, and as more I am seeing myself saying, "Oh my God, I will never judge that mom that was having the meltdown in the store because I am doing everything well, and he's still hitting and getting in trouble." And yeah, we try every single food in the planet. We try every single bedtime. He doesn't have a lot of sleep needs and he doesn't sleep much. And when he woke up, he needs to know that we are there. And we choose to not do any cry out or extreme sleep depression because we are protecting his brain. So we choose that. And the reality is that without that, he still needs us. And we are not sleeping well and we are tired and it sucks.
Yes, yes, it does. And it's so hard. But here's the thing, your reality is not matching the fantasy. And half the problem is you adjusting to your reality because it's not your fantasy. So you need to drop your fantasy, put your fantasy on a piece of paper and go and burn it because the fantasy is completely unachievable because it's unrealistic. And instead, we're going to learn to accept our reality. Our reality is that we have a very young child who is struggling and needs us. And the more we can show up with this child in the present moment, the more this child will relax, the more this child will ease, will feel our calm, because right now your child is vibrating from your own anxiety and absorbing it. So the more you can relax into your reality, the less anxious everyone will be, and your child will begin to relax. Emotional regulation is a key task of this age. Your child doesn't know how to regulate, and that is dysregulating you. So when you learn to regulate, you can co-regulate together. It's not about sleeping. It's not about his behavior. It's about your child learning how to calm himself down. So if you can calm down, your child will begin to absorb that and let go of your fantasy that it needs to look any other way than it does. You're a good parent. You're doing the best job you can. Let go of that fantasy, of your expectations, of your desire to control.
Very helpful. Thank you so much, Dr. Shefali.
So many of us parents enter the parenting journey with all these expectations. I can still remember all of mine. I thought I would be the most perfect parent and I would be doing all this yoga with my little toddler and going for walks in the park and volunteering with my teenager. And when none of these expectations come true, we crash and burn. We get upset. We think we're failures. We remove our anxiety and our anger on our children, and it's a big mess. You see, the problem isn't our children. The problem is the expectations that we have around what our parenting needs to look like and who our children need to be. We are always working against our fantasy. And what we need to do as parents in order to connect to our children is let go of the fantasy. We need to burn those expectations and instead enter the present moment, accept who we are and who our children are in all our ordinary humanity, and connect to what is. Not what it should be, but what it truly is. So for all you parents out there listening right now, as you go on your day with your children, remember, enter the present moment, connect with what is, and celebrate whatever is showing up right here, right now. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope I see you for the next episode of Parenting and You with me, Dr. Shefali. Parenting and You with Dr. Shefali is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute for professional medical, psychological, psychotherapeutic, coaching, healthcare, or other qualified professional advice, diagnosis, or treatment.